CS from DWP, and welcome to Warframe Wiki Wednesday, where once a week we cover a particular topic, whether it be asked for or something I think might be interesting or helpful to you guys. And today I wanted to cover stealth and what it is and how it works and what it's about and why people use it for farming XP, which is also why I have Equinox here. Let's go on ahead and just kind of dive right in and talk about what stealth is in the game of Warframe. So first things first, stealth is when warframes are not detected by enemies. They are in when warframes are not detected by enemies, they are in stealth, able to sneak past combat encounters or perform devastating attacks to unsuspecting targets. However, conspicuous activity will raise the alertness of observant enemies, which can increase the difficulty of the mission. At various levels of alert, enemies may become more careful, call for help from other nearby enemies, or trigger the alarm or control panels to summon backup from other rooms. Alertness decreases over time. Okay. While most missions in Warframe do not require or explicitly reward stealthy play styles, the game provides an assortment of weapons, mods, and different damage multipliers that enables alternative gameplay options for advanced players who seek immersion or challenges or something along those lines, right? So basically, what does that mean? Hey, how's it going, Ball Golf? So basically, what does that mean? Well, you can optionally play this game kind of like a Metal Gear Solid. You can, if you want to get a little bit more immersive in the experience of the stealth gameplay mechanics. It is there, actually. You can go to a mission and play very stealthy. You know what I mean? I'm just going to start Adaro. And, well, I'm not going to start Adaro, but I'm going to hover over this particular mission because this is the mission most notably for stealth mechanics. Anyway, so alertness. Let's cover that before I jump in here. So, enemies can only see things in a short frontal cone, and their view can be further restricted by the environment, right? This is like, boxes or whatever. They are bad at noticing threats at a distance or anyone somewhat above their heads. Crouching will hide a Warframe silhouette well, and being cloaked or invisible allows the Warframe to move past enemy eyesight without triggering any suspicion. Loud noise, however, can cause enemies to fire towards invisible Tenno, shooting most weapons while visually shrouded. Will alert enemies from all distances. So if you're in the middle of somewhere and your weapon, for example, actually, let me just go over that real quick. So there's this stat on all weapons that will say if it's guns. It'll say if it's noisy or alarming or something like that, right? So if we, for example, grab any weapon, right? Like let's say any weapon, they're all alarming, right? But if you grab something like a bow, right, like a Mutilus Cernos, it's silent, right? Well, that's what they're referring to. So if it's noisy or alarming means if you shoot it, enemies are going to do exactly what this was saying. You know what I mean? Where they'll basically be alerted. That's considered a loud noise, and they'll fire in your direction regardless if you're visible or not, or they're supposed to at least. Whereas if it's silent, they don't know where it's coming from, right? One that I have gotten a question about was the Brahma. Is it alarming or is it silent? It says right there, it is alarming. And what that means is not just like the explosion and all that. Letting it go will make a noise. So just to give you guys a heads up. Anyway, on to the next paragraph. Distant gunfire or suspicious activity, such as noticing the corpse of an ally or a silent weapon hitting the terrain, may temporarily put enemies in nearby map tiles into a minor alert. Minor alert is when the enemy is... Yeah, I think it's about time I went into Adaro. So let me kind of show what they're talking about. I'm going to get Loki for this. Alright. And I'm going to get a quiet... something quiet, not a Mutilus Cernos, that's too much. Let's get the Dread. Alright, we're gonna get the Dread, and then I'm gonna get a loud ass weapon. Cool. So we get a loud weapon, and then we got the Dread. Alright. Make sure I'm on solo. Alright, cool. So I'm gonna repeat this section while this is loading. Okay, distant gunfire or suspicious activity such as noticing a corpse on the ground of an ally or silent weapon hitting the terrain may temporarily put enemies in nearby map tiles into a minor alert. forget what map tiles means. It's that minor alert part that I want you guys to focus on. These enemies keep watch from behind cover or patrol with guns raised and are more sensitive to the Tenno's presence. As they don't know exactly where their threats are, they are more cautious, looking down corners and expanding their vision, right? So, for example, right, if I'm invisible, which is basically 100% stealth, what that means is I can walk up to enemies and nothing's going to happen, right? But if I bump into the enemy, he's going to go into a state of minor alertness. Now, he doesn't know what's going on, but he knows something's there, right? Now, what happens is I can shoot the dread, and if I shoot it at the ground, boop, now both of them should be, well, neither one's alert. Oh, he's alert. Let's go back invisible. Now, let's go to an alarming weapon real quick. See how these guys don't care? If I fire it up here, maybe over here. Okay, this way. Okay, I think that one might be alert. Nope, I got the full stealth bonus. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about there. Well, anyways, let's turn that back on. Enemies from other tiles would not enter this state if the enemy detecting the Tenno is killed quickly enough and the alarms are not triggered. Additionally, their range of vision expands and they will be able to spot Tenno and their companions from far away, right? Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I start murdering people, right, and this dude, well, forget about him, he's got cover. Let's say this guy right here, right? Boop, right? So now he's alert. He's like, what the heck was that, right? I'm gonna take him out real quick. Let's come in here. I'm gonna find somewhere I can put a dead body. So let's put the dead body right here, right? Now if they notice the dead body now. She's gonna go over there, she's gonna check it out. Like, they actually have some sort of AI in regards to it, right? And this alertness is what they're talking about. Now, she knows something's going on. She doesn't know what's going on, but she knows something's going on, right? And that's basically the AI working and staying alert. After a certain amount of time, they will kind of just not be alert, but it's a matter of you going away and staying away from where the murder happened, basically. Let me go ahead and get some energy, and then I'll get back to the wiki. Sorry about that. So anyway, Tenno and their companions from far away, blah, 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 even after the player disengages from combat. Okay, there it goes. So additionally, their range of vision expands, and they will be able to spot Tenno and their companions from far away, even after the player disengages from combat. Okay. Note that backup troops arriving in nearby rooms may not know what the threat is and will be put into minor alert instead. Players can infer an ongoing full combat alert. Now, this is players can infer an ongoing full combat alert from how enemies will notice and fire upon the player from much further away than before. Okay, which means that if this enemy is on a minor alert and I start doing this, like, they're gonna notice me. Or at least they should. You know what I mean? If I'm doing this, he should be paying attention, but he's not on alert, right? So at least that's what it's supposed to do. Anyway, the minimap will change color depending on the alertness of the room's occupants, with white, amber, and red referring to enemies being alerted, in a minor alert or a full alert, respectively. Now, I'm not entirely sure about this red. That part I'm not entirely sure of. I think I know what they're talking about. Let's say, for example, you're in Railjack, right? Now, in Railjack, the little things are white, right? And then when they become minorly alert, like, okay, something's over there, the little diamond turns yellow. When they're on full engage mode, it turns red. Now, this talking about the minimap, that I can't speak to, but I can speak for Railjack. I think that's what it's attempting to refer to. Anyway, when a Tenno or allied NPC comes out of invisibility, their enemies will take a full second of delay before noticing them, regardless of their alert state. Now, for anyone who've checked out my whole stealthy in-game whatever, when I was talking about Loki, this is what I was talking about. You get a whole second, you get like a grace period of invisibility in between being seen and not being seen, which means that you can do that and this dude still hasn't seen me, which means if I kill him, I still get the stealth bonus, right? That 1632, that's way more than, let's say, an alerted enemy. So if I bump into her and then shoot her, as you can see, well, I don't know why that happened. Let me bump into this guy, bump into him, bam, right? Oh, you done heard something, right? So 544, right? So you still get the stealth bonus even after I had to recast my invisibility. That's that grace period I was talking about. Control panels, which I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with at this point. Those little hacking consoles where you have to hack it and it goes from white to yellow. This is that section. Control consoles are liberally scattered around most tile sets. If activated by an enemy, it will alert the entire room and may spread the alert to the whole map. Okay, killing the enemy before they finish using a control panel, this may take up to about 1.5 seconds to complete the alert. It will prevent the alert from sounding. Enemies will not consecutively run up to the same console to set off the alarm, but if the fight takes long enough, another enemy will likely attempt it. Note that if the enemy activating the alarm takes enough damage, they will abort activating the alarm and turn to attack the Tenno. If an alarm is set off, the alarm can be reset by going to another control terminal and hacking it without further spread of notice. While it is possible for stealth to be recovered in missions populated by the Grenadier Corpus, the corrupted and infested factions, I'll reread that. While it is possible for stealth to be recovered in missions populated by the Grenadier and the Corpus, the corporate and infested factions do not use control consoles to sound alarms, and any open detection will result in these faction enemies becoming alert in a very large radius. So, what that means to me, and I'm just doing my little bit of translating here, the corrupted and infested, instead of using control consoles, basically what they do is any detection they have is just kind of an alert on its own. At least that's what it sounds like. We can test that in this video. If you want to do further testing for yourself, that's literally what it says right here. To be honest with you, I've never known an infested to hit a console outside of console related content. Same thing with the corrupted. I've actually never really known of the corrupted setting off any alarms at all, right? Anyway, even when the control panel has been accessed and the alarm is sounded, enemies will lose track of the Tenno when the last group of enemies killed is not close enough to set the next group of enemies on alert. They will wander as if they never heard an alarm by sprinting through rooms quickly. One can sometimes avoid alarms being set off or escape to new rooms distant enough from the hostile room arming its alarm that these new enemies won't hear it. Equipping a sprint speed mod on the Warframe can increase this chance of escape. Now I'm going to do this just for example's sake. So let me get some energy because I'm going to have to be invisible for this. But I'm going to be in here, right? I'm going to wait for somebody to see me, right? They're going to do their little shooting. I'm going to hit somebody with something, and eventually somebody should set off an alarm. I'm waiting for somebody to set off an alarm. That's basically what I'm waiting for. Alright, so alarm is set off, right? So now that the alarm is set off, I'm going to go invisible, and I'm just going to like run somewhere. And usually what ends up happening is the whole map will end up getting alerted. And if you do this on, let's say, this mission, usually what would happen if you happen to get that particular alarm, not this alarm, but most alarms, the entire map will come, and I mean the entire map, will actually come running to your location. Like the entire map. Like I can run all the way to the end and try to get this thing cleared and whatnot, but the alarm is set. So I'm going to take a moment and try to see if I can get that to go off, or see if I can at least get that proof, per se. So I'm going to go this way, and the alert is still on. Of course I have to hack it to get it to turn off. Seems like we got a dog there. He's on alert, as you can see. Those two are on alert, as you can see. So the whole map is kind of ready, right? Anytime they see me, I'm literally just aggroing all these guys. And what's happening is this location right here is marked pretty much by the entire map, or at least it should be, right? So eventually what should happen, let me pause it. So eventually what should happen, and I'll just unpause it. What should happen is the whole map should actually just end up in this room. I'm gonna sit here and spam this while I'm reading. Security cameras and turrets, right? Cameras can detect Cameras can detect Tenno and deploy any nearby Corpus turrets to engage in combat. However, triggering a camera or shooting a turret will not trigger any kinds of alertness for other enemies, nor will the general alarm state in the mission cause the security cameras to be alerted. The challenge reward for 10 stealth kills can easily be accomplished in high alarm scenarios by destroying cameras that haven't personally witnessed the player. The turret, on the other hand, is hard to destroy if never activated. But note that its shots are silent and do not alert the enemies in nearby rooms. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about when it comes to Corpus turrets. I'm gonna just nod and say yes, but take that as you wish. Take that as you wish. Now, here is the more important part, and that is the stealth damage bonus. Now, stealth damage, as you guys know, if I kill something, I only get 548 of that, right? Now, if I turn this off and the whole map goes back to normal, right? I don't know what I'm doing. What have I got? A dread? All right, I'm gonna just kill these guys with this thing, I guess. Actually, I'll just read it. I'm sure you guys know about it. So anyway, standard melee attacks are affected by a 700% stealth damage bonus when attacking unalerted enemies or when cloaked by an ability or invisibility, basically. This damage increase changes the color of regular damage pop-ups from white to yellow. Okay? Similar to critical hits, basically. Stealth melee damage basically is weapon damage multiplied by 1 plus the stealth damage bonus. Okay? Now, stealth damage bonus equals 1 parentheses 6 divided by 30 times the weapon rank. Not really going to get into the math of that. Just take my word for it there. Basically, long story short, you get stealth damage bonuses and you get stealth XP bonuses. I'm going to show this in the simulacrum because that might make it a little bit easier to digest. So, for example, if you've ever been in a simulacrum and you've happened to hit something and it went from, like, all of a sudden your weapon with no crit on it at all is now all of a sudden hitting yellow crits. That's not a yellow crit, that's a stealth attack. And this is also why people recommend that when you are testing, if you want to test for the field, you want to turn the AI off. That's because stealth damage applies when the AI, or you want to turn the AI on. And that is because stealth damage applies when the AI is turned off, right? So, long story short, in the simulacrum, for the sake of the simulacrum, and when you're running Gadaro, keep in mind your weapons basically are going to hit 7 times harder than they would if it wasn't a stealth attack, okay? So I'm going to show you the difference for those in the simulacrum. While this is loading, keep in mind that critical hits, while under these effects, still appear yellow or in their respective color for higher crit tiers, okay? So you still could get orange crits, but that's, you know, it's just everything's going to be yellow whether it's stealth or not. But if you happen to cross a particular crit tier, then they're going to escalate as such. The damage bonus from the crits and stealth attacks they stack additively with each other. If you want that equation, I'll go ahead and just write it out for you guys, just in case you're curious. So we're gonna call this stealth melee crit damage is weapons damage times, and that's gonna be 1 plus stealth damage bonus plus critical multiplier, or I'll say crit mult minus 1. I know that's a lot, but just in case you wanted to know what your stealth melee crit damage was gonna be, then voila, a little bit more to digest. Basically all I can say is use prime pressure point instead of condition overload. TLDR. Let's go on ahead and look at what these bonuses look like, and then I'll jump into stealth attacks, aka finisher attacks. So, because finisher attacks, they have their own little mechanics to them. So we're going to leave the AI paused, and I'm going to spawn some, I guess, like a butcher or something, right? So we got a butcher. So, under normal circumstances, under normal circumstances, if I shoot a butcher, I do 12,000 damage, right? 15,000, 12,000, 42, whatever, right? If I pause the AI and I shoot it now, I don't know if it was a headshot or not, but if I pause the AI, I got 90,000, right, on that headshot. All right, so your stealth damage is gonna be drastically larger. I'm gonna put this a little bit more into context, maybe a little bit easier to look at. Let's go ahead and pull up the Exo Gox tag, because this will probably make it a little bit easier to understand what I mean. So if I load up one Gox tag, I'm gonna keep the AI pause for this, right? And I kill her with whatever this thing is. All right, cool. That's how long it takes. What should happen, and this is only if they didn't change it. What should happen is, if I unpause the AI, it should take me 7 times longer. To my understanding, they did change it. But long story short, it should take 7 times longer with the AI off, or with the AI active, right? So but one thing I can say is, as you can see though, what you did see is that every hit was yellow when the AI was paused. Whereas when the AI was not paused, I started getting some white hits magically, right? So regardless of what you do, all your hits are going to be yellow when you're getting stuff. That's how you know you're getting stuff damage, right? Yeah, that's way stronger. All right, so that's basically what that is. That's why you want to test with the AI on, basically. So anyway, stealth attacks. So as long as an enemy is unaware of the Tenno's presence, a stealth attack may be executed on them. To perform a stealth attack, the player must approach an enemy from behind and activate the stealth attack prompt. Successfully performing a stealth attack will deal a massive amount of damage during a special animation, during which a Warframe is immune to damage and will not be attacked by enemies. All right, I'm going to go to Adara once again to show you guys what this looks like. The attack's final damage depends on the melee weapon type used, on the top of the 8 times damage multiplier described in the preceding section. So you're going to get a humongous damage multiplier for hitting with this finisher attack. Basically, if you don't kill with a finisher attack, you might want to look at, if you're going for a finisher attack build, you might want to revisit the build, because you should be killing everything with a finisher attack, because you get an 8 times multiplier on top of everything else, right? I can give you the equation to this one. This one's actually relatively straightforward. Actually, no, I'm not going to give you the equation. That's talking about stealth attack damage. Anyway, or yeah, I guess I'll give it to you. So stealth attack damage, the equation, if you'd like to see it, just in case you want to do a little bit of math for yourself. So we're going to say stealth attack damage is the weapon damage, right? And that's going to be times your stealth multiplier times your weapon multiplier. And when they're talking about your multiplier, I think they're talking about your crit multiplier. As these multipliers factor total weapon damage, equipped mods, including critical chance and critical damage mods, will also affect the stealth attack's final damage. Right, oh, hold on, let me check out these comments real quick. Cypha, can you believe Lost actually enjoyed play? This is the... Bro, you are so off subject. But yes, I actually can believe that, yeah. So, stealth attacks inflict true damage, which is unaffected by armor. Damage value pop-ups always appear yellow, identically to critical hit damage values, even if the stealth attack did not crit. A complete kill ensures your target cannot recuperate and bring attention to you. Performing an unsuccessful melee stealth kill will, which happens often when in high-level areas, or failing to kill an enemy with a silent ranged attack or ability will alert the enemy after a short moment. Let me go back to Adaro so I can show you what that looks like. Due to that short moment, though, it is possible to execute consecutive stealth attacks by pressing the melee key quickly, or the stealth key quickly, right after the previous stealth attack is finished. This is also noteworthy for eliminating pairs or groups of enemies, as enemies within 5 meters of the victim will become cautious, even without seeing the warframe, for roughly 20 seconds, due to the sound of their comrade's death. So they will be alerted if they hear from 5 meters away that their partner just died. Enemy eligibility. Some enemies do not grant a stealth attack prompt. Many mechanical or robotic enemies are immune to stealth attacks. Keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and see what a stealth attack looks like. We all know what it looks like. Just look at the enemy. Basically what happens is when you walk up, you get that little thing that says stealth attack. You just do that, and that is what they're talking about, right? See how this person got alerted? This person's not, though. So you can basically just do that over and over and over again. It's basically the same as a finisher, but it's just doing it with a stealth bonus, basically. Right? So, enemy eligibility. Some of the things you cannot run finishers on is the Grenier rollers, obviously. As far as the corpus, you obviously can't do it to cameras or turrets, and you can't do a finisher on ospreys. If you can, that'd be pretty crazy. But anyway, weapons you can, however, stealth attack with them. You can stealth attack a mole with R, swords, machetes, staff, dang, pretty much everything. So I wouldn't really worry about it unless you have a hammer. Hammers, for whatever reason, aren't listed, but I'm pretty sure they're probably at it by this time. Anyway, some bosses, such as the Sergeant, can be stealth attacked. And yes, this is true. The damage done will usually not be sufficient enough to kill them in one hit. Non-humanoid bosses, such as Forid and the Jackal, are immune to stealth attacks. Basically, big brain it. If it looks like a regular enemy, more than likely you can stealth attack it. This goes for disruption enemies as well. Shy, I guess, has a whole thing on the hard mode thing. So if you're having trouble killing enemies in hard mode, hit them with finishers or stuff. Well, you can't stealth attack them, but you want to basically do that to them. You can do that as well. Anyway, affinity bonus. This is a huge one. Killing a target with a stealth attack will trigger a stealth. Let me get away from these enemies so I can really get into the nitty gritty of this, because this is pretty much the meat and potatoes of why people even care about stealth a lot of the time, right? So, alright, so the bonus, right? So killing a target with a stealth attack will trigger a stealth kill affinity bonus, which increases the amount of affinity that a player gains from killing said enemy. A notification appears in a player's HUD to the left of the shield counter upon performing a stealth kill, basically like a buff, which will display the bonus affinity value for that kill, as well as the time remaining for the combo duration, 30 seconds basically. Each successive stealth kill will refresh the combo counter and grant 100% more affinity towards the next kill, stacking up to 500% bonus affinity after 5 stealth kills. Let's go ahead and see this in action. So we're going to do this guy. So that's 27. There's a buff. There's our 200%. I reset it on accident, because I'm a newbie. Alright, cool. There's 1. Come on. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. And there's 5. And because we're capped out, can't go above 5, right? So that's how that works, basically. Oddly enough, certain Warframe powers like paralysis and melee combos that initiate stagger may initiate stealth kill affinity bonuses upon performing a finisher, even if the enemy was previously aware of the player. What I just used tonight to level up this weapon that I have in my hand right now is I used Equinox, and in using Equinox, she can do that actually, which is kind of weird. So if you sleep them and they wake up from the sleep and they point their gun at you and you sleep them again, and you still get a stealth bonus, which is actually pretty awesome. Fighting silently. Using noisy weapons and abilities will alert enemies within 50 meters. Now, at least it's supposed to, because last time I checked, a catch moon is really fucking loud, okay? So that should be ringing his ears, but it is not, for whatever reason. I don't know why. I know why, because I'm Loki. And all weapons are silent. I deeply apologize for that, guys. Sorry for the confusion. So I'm going to wait till I'm not invisible. I'm going to shoot. And that guy should be very alert right now. Yep. I should not have the eligibility for a stealth kill. Yeah, so that's basically what they're talking about. So using no noisy weapon, that's what it'll do. 50 meters, bam, right? Equipped in a max rank suppress or hush, or if you're using Loki, hush invisibility. You can, there's all type of mods to like make it completely silent. Silent battery actually works really well as well. Silent or quiet weapons. All melee weapon attacks are silent. Melees, including those from thrown weapons with the deconstructor and the shotgun attack of the Redeemer. As long as the enemy is more than 5 meters away from the player when the Redeemer is shot, it's considered silent. Which is why the Redeemer was heavily used for like rank 9 tests. Pablo, you're going to have to wait, good sir. Anyway, so the following ranged weapons are also innately silent or otherwise produce less noise than standard when fired. I am going to just kind of scroll through, and yep, so the only ones that are not bows are none of them. And if you want to know which ones aren't bows, well, I guess technically crossbows are not bows, so those are silent as well. The Brahma is not on here, and the lens is not on here, in case you guys are curious about it. The Amprex is very loud. The Baza is silent. The Baza Prime is silent, and the Foeman is silent in semi-auto, which I never actually knew that. Everything else is loud. The Stinger is quiet. All the Q9s, the Pox, yeah, I mean, pretty standard run of the mill. All right, cool. Silent abilities. Now, I don't know about y'all, but last time I checked, abilities are silent. So I'm not sure where they're going with this, but the following table lists abilities which are either silent to enemies or enable the player to perform silent kills. Note that the direct damage abilities, to be honest with you guys, I don't want to bore you guys with that part. Long story short, if you can kill the enemy in one shot or it counts for finisher damage, that basically counts as a stealth attack. If it puts the enemy to sleep or enables a finisher kill, such as Equinox's sleep, then that's going to be counted as a stealthy kind of ability. They have that information on the wiki. You just type in stealth Warframe, scroll down a little bit till you see silent abilities. There's a ton of them. I totally do not want to bore you guys with that. As far as tips, I'm not going to go through all the tips, but I am going to cover this one particular thing, and that is Adaro. Because 99% of the time, stealth is going to come up in your conversations regarding ranking up weapons, right? So you might hear a little bit about it in regards to Ash. Outside of Adaro, most people I ever have conversations with never even talk about stealth. We only use stealth in spy missions and when ranking up stuff. But you guys are DWP, so I will bore you with all the stealthy stuff, right? I use stealth whenever I can. I am Loki, I am Equinox, I am stealth, right? Let me show you what I mean with the whole Equinox thing. We're gonna grab this weapon, and I don't know, if you guys want, I'll throw a form in it just to show you how it works. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it already. But let's say I wanted to add another forma somewhere, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I'll just show you basically how it works. So let me grab just make sure you got range on it. That's really all that matters. Just put range on the weapon and you'll be good to go, right? So we got Equinox. Let me make sure I got her Sleequinox build, and then we'll do a quick run of that, I guess. Now, under normal circumstances with Equinox, you should easily hit rank 30 if you have a booster about 3/4 of the way through, if not half the way through, and you should be fine. So Oh, my stepdad unplugged the internet, so if he wants his TV back, is blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Alright, so I was not, actually. Sniper rifles and other long-range weapons such as the Latron are less likely to attract attention. This is most likely because the weapon's noise at the gun barrel is far greater than the noise at the impact of the sight. Makes sense. Using a codec scanner, 50 meters through walls behind cover. However, if it's used to scan, it will remove the scanned enemies from the player's view. Yep, that kind of goes without saying. All right, cool. So here's an enemy, right? Whoops, that was the wrong ability. All right, so they're clearly alerted, right? Right, I'm pretty sure all of them are at this point, right? But they're asleep, right? So let me see, where is it at? 540, 540. Let's go with this guy. All right, so I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna sleep you guys. All right. I'm just gonna put some of them to sleep. Now, if these guys happen to wake up and I put them back to sleep, I'll actually be cool. But by doing that, even if I run into them, you still get a stealth bonus from the kill. Like from that one, I got 10,000. From these guys, I got 4,000 and something respectively, right? Hitting that guy, I look like 15,000 or something like that. So if you're using stealth, regardless if they're slightly alert or not, hey, nope. Well, I guess it does not. I don't know. It seems like it's not as, to be honest with you guys, it's not as reliable as I want to say it should be. All I know is when I'm doing it with Equinox, I get the stealth bonus, and sometimes if they even if they happen to see me, I just sleep them again, and a lot of times I'm getting a bonus again. But that's pretty much the gist of it. You just do that. Pretty good focus farm too if you have a lens on your weapon. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it for a nutshell. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up with this. You guys know what stealth is, but why would you use it? Why is it important? Pretty much TLDR as far as this whole, wiki page. You can use it to get a little bit more interested into the game, as an immersive experience and all that. That part's cool. But really what the stealth is for is to keep yourself from alerting enemies. My little 2 cents on it is that it disables the enemy's attacks. So if you can't take the hit, just don't get hit. And one way to not get hit is to keep the enemy from even being able to attack in the first place. One way to do that outside of CC is to just be invisible. Being invisible is kind of a CC, and it is a form of CC basically, right? So that's one side of stealth. Another side is that if the enemy is unalerted, you're going to get a ton of damage on top of that. You're also going to get a ton of XP on top of that. So that's why I believe stealth is important. And being that everybody's going to be ranking up their Enalis primes, their Karis primes, their Panthera primes, there's going to be a lot of leveling up and a lot of optimizing, and everybody's, I guess prepping for still path on the consoles. I highly recommend that you look into stealth and just get familiar with that as it. Okay, orders. But yeah, I think it may be of use to you guys on some level. So, cheers. Thanks for joining me for Warframe Wiki Wednesday, and I hope you guys have a great night and or day, depending on where you're at. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will holler at you guys in the next piece of content. All right, you guys take it easy. Peace.